Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
It's a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's the early line. It's hour number 2 heading into the weekend, and a great weekend will be. Fantastic college basketball day tomorrow, as well as 2 NFL games, 2 more NFL games on Sunday, and then we can include Monday as the weekend as well, as we head in and take on a National Football Championship game in college between Miami and Indiana. So our job over the next hour is get you ready for exactly what you need to know in a sprint to the finish and a great weekend, Joe Ranieri.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking very forward to it, Donnie. There is a lot of great college basketball conference matchups here. The heavyweights going at it across all the big conferences. NBA trying to make a final push before the All-Star game. So a lot to be excited about. Oh, yeah, and maybe we get pitchers and catchers at some point over the next couple of weeks if Major League Baseball doesn't lock itself out first.
And we always coin the term Friday is payday. Well, the Chicago Cubs are paying out $175 million to Alex Bregman here. Here's him at the Cubs press conference.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can take a lot from the other teams and apply it. And I think that being here for the last few days and going to see how much the city loves its sports has been awesome. Actually, my father and I and uncle kind of did Bulls, Blackhawks, and Bears maybe in 2016 or so, one off season in like a 3-day time period. So they were jealous that they weren't at the games the last 2 days, but it kind of just the city of Chicago loves sports and they love winning, and hopefully we can win a lot for them.
Bregman in town with $175 in his back wallet.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around lately here. So kudos. When are we going to get the Pittsburgh Pirates sign somebody for $8 million over 6 years? No, no, we're not going to get those press conferences because they cost too much. Unreal.
Yeah, remember when the Pittsburgh Pirates were in it for Kyle Schwarber until they weren't in it? Yeah, congratulations there. Amazing stuff. And I'm sure Paul Skeens is watching like, this is the place where I want to raise my family and retire with. Not going to happen at this point. How about the NCAA here? Dealing with a scandal. That's because it was caught by the legalized sports books. Hey, we're flagging some irregularities in these games, and it turns out 29 games being fixed here, federal indictments handed down. People are going to be in trouble for this, Joe.
Yeah. And, shocker, it's an overlap here with some of the ringleaders into what was happening with the NBA stuff. So, yeah, it's not a widespread problem. There was one problem, but legalized sports betting has allowed these watchdog groups to raise red flags and catch them. But make no mistake, this has been going on since sports has been invented. But now you have paths in order to catch these guys, and that's exactly what they did.
Sometimes you need breaks to move on in the playoffs here, and a bad break maybe for the Seattle Seahawks is going to be their quarterback. Maybe not 100% by the time we kept game time tomorrow night. Sam Darnold said he should be just fine. I don't know about that. 7-point underdog 49ers now going to take on Sam Darnold with an oblique listed as questionable for the divisional round game.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe also a head fake, huh? Like, ooh, ow, oh, my oblique. Oh, yeah. And then he gets out there and he just starts slinging it around. But I wouldn't be trusting Sam Darnold to sling anything around one way or the other. But I do think it's interesting that the market has moved this down pretty solid, a half a point. So it's worth keeping an eye on here before kickoff. And temperatures, I believe, not going to be exactly the warmest night there in Seattle, is it?
San Francisco, the one thing they're happy, they'll be hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from, I guess, a substation next to their practice field that could injure them. Because, quite frankly, Philadelphia should have built an energy plant right next to the stadium to affect the 49ers. They're on the road here, but I do love this story. It came out of nowhere, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, but boy, it's fun talking about.
Well, they are looking into, and listen, if I'm the 49ers, I'm looking at everything. How in the world is our players, our team, everyone's just blowing Achilles, everything's a tendon damage. Like, what is going on here? And not just this year, but this has been happening now over the last 3 years here for the 49ers. There's bad luck, and then is there anything to this, Donnie?
Yeah, I think even Brandon Ayuk tore up his knee, and I think even scrambled his brain with these brain waves going out there. Crazy stuff in San Francisco, no doubt about it. Yeah, how about the Commanders? Crazy stuff in a $4 billion with a B stadium that's going to be built. And by the way, the artist renderings here, Joe, I actually kind of like them. Usually it's cookie cutter and look like big toaster ovens. This one actually looks kind of nice and fits right in there with DC, Joe.
It does. I mean, it looks great. Now, if they can only, build up a winning team, that would be fantastic. But likely going to get worse before it gets better in Washington, even before that stadium is finally built.
Will Jaden Daniels actually make it to that stadium will be the question here. Or will he be run out of Washington or too injured to play like he was during his sophomore season? Jonathan Kuminga, he wants to play, just not for Golden State. I want to trade. I want out. When you hear that in the NBA, you're usually out.
Yeah, usually out is right. Just a weird thing. They could not get on the same page. I mean, it wasn't like, they weren't paying him an whole lot of money. They didn't want to pay him. There was, this was supposed to be the next generation for the Golden State Warriors. And all they did was alienate one another to the point where the kid's like, just get me out of here. Like, get me out of here. So something crazy going on there. But unfortunately, he's going to help another team over the next couple of years win some games.
Rory's saying that Liv Goff doesn't sign anybody who moves the needle. Maybe the biggest golfer that moves the needle, Bryson DeChambeau, is with Liv Goff. Dustin Johnson was a hot commodity. Brooks Koepka, John Rahm, he doesn't move the needle. Rory's still talking, and this stems from him just saying, I hitched my wagon to the PGA Tour, and my best friends made hundreds of millions of dollars, and now are coming back here. I'm angry. The only person you should be angry at, Rory, is that you didn't sign with Liv Golf and then tried to come back to the PGA Tour hundreds of millions of dollars richer.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Rory, but they still have the two biggest names in the sport, the biggest name in the U.S. and the biggest name in Europe. They're called Bryson DeChambeau and John Rahm. So, yeah, so the fact that you think they're signing a bunch of has-beens and no name. Yeah, no, they've got two guys that move the needle on both continents. So I think we're good to go here. I think they're fine.
Yeah, some guys with like personality does make some sense. Like, say what you want. Like, Scotty Scheffler is a fantastic golfer. It's just a shame that you don't have him in that mindset of the mole where he's really outspoken, really brash on the golf course, because he would be a superstar. He's a superstar on the golf course, but do you ever see like a Scotty Scheffler Taco Bell commercial out there? No, because nobody would recognize him because he's boring as all get out and tells you on a day-to-day basis, this is my job, and I can't wait to retire so I can actually get out of golf. He's basically said that in the past. Clayton Kershaw, he loves baseball. He loves his country. He's putting it all on the line for the WBC to sort of extend his career. Is he going to be more of a mascot, or is he going to make a difference here for Team USA in the WBC, Joe?
What is he, a coach? Like, I don't. Are we really? We've got nobody else. Yeah, we got nobody else that can throw 100 miles an hour at all for Team USA. That we're rolling out a 50-year-old here. If he's a coach, great. But if you're planning on pitching him, like, I don't know what we're doing here, Donnie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the tournament should be good this year, because I always thought, even in the past, like Team USA really undersold this. The superstars really weren't going, but the rest of the world, Latin America, they really geared up. But Team USA actually put their best foot forward, almost like you're having like the dream team of the United States players here going to be out on the baseball diamond. Great pitching, great superstars around. So Clayton Kershaw's like, you know what? You got a spot for me where you can throw me 70 innings in this tournament, because I'm not going to be playing baseball the rest of the year, and I'm just going to go away and relax and be happy. We'll find out, but that's coming up shortly here. Pitchers and catchers coming up. Bo Bichette needs a team to sign with. It probably should be the Philadelphia Phillies, Joe. One season, then the NFL starts to close, Joe, and another season opens back up in Major League Baseball in just a few weeks.
Yeah, well, not if the Dodgers keep spending $400 million a guy for, just handing out NBA Supermax contracts here. We might have an issue, Donnie.
Just the way it is. College football championship game Monday night. Let's hear what the coach, Terry Bowden, has to say. It's coming up next right here on the Early Line.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right back here on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. It's the Early Line. It's Donnie Wright's at. It's Joe Ranier. And our coach, Coach Terry Bowden, joins us today on a Championship Friday edition. Coach, how are we feeling out there?
Oh, getting ready for football. I'm going to have to watch some NFL before I get to that Monday game, I guess. But I'm a college guy, and I can't wait to see how this thing turns out at the end.
Big ratings, big money. And by the way, Coach, you probably made some pretty good money throughout your travels. You got to spend a pretty penny to get into this game at Hard Rock Stadium on Monday Night Football, 7:30. Before we get to the game itself, Coach, talk to me about this. Miami's the de facto road team, but playing at home. Now, granted, it's more of a corporate atmosphere as opposed to your home crowd in the building. But talk to me about Miami's advantages about just being home for this one.
Well, I've always felt there is some home field advantage, no matter where you play, just because the comfort level, getting in the same locker room, you always get in the pregame, the atmosphere. I think in this case, it's probably vital. If they play anywhere else, I'm not sure Miami fans have anybody in the stands because Indiana would have bought them all. I think being in Miami, they at least get 50-50, and it feels kind of like a home game. But Miami fans are not big travel fans. I'm not sure, to be quite honest. The town's full of Dolphin fans and pro sports fans as much as anything. And the Miami Dolphins, this is a perfect place for Miami to play this game, I'll tell you.
Take me down the script here, Coach, because it feels to me like Indiana has not been tested at all. They have played from in front. They have taken the air out of the ball in the second half, and they've buried teams early. For Miami to have success, this better be a lower scoring first half. No, Coach?
That's right. If you're going to go with Miami, pick the under. But let's don't say that Indiana has everything gone perfectly. Remember, Iowa, a 20-15 football game. It was tied 13-13 with 2 minutes left. They threw a touchdown pass, then gave up a safety just to be safe. That was down to the wire. Ohio State, they had to score with 1 minute and 20 seconds left or they lose that game. So there are some things that happened. In both of those games, they rushed for less than 120 yards. To me, if there's one factor, if Miami can do it, hold them to around 100, 120 yards of rushing, and it gets them out of their comfort zone because Indiana likes to run first, throw second. They want their throws to be for touchdowns around the red zone. So that seems to be what happened against Iowa, against Ohio State. Miami needs to focus on studying that film because they held Indiana to a point where it was a very close game, and the quarterback had to pull it out.
Also, Coach, I love getting to talk to you some of these big games in the preparation as well. Like, they've already played multiple playoff games, which back in the day, you waited a month and a half, then you played your bowl game. These guys have been through it, so the layoff isn't that big of what it used to be. Talk to me about the preparation for these guys, because also the increase in the media that you have to do, and the spotlight, and the big game, and the pageantry. How are you handling these situations as a coach?
Well, I think both coaches will know how to protect their players from too much media. Keep them involved. Don't let them have to go to too many press conferences, too many interviews. Coach Cignetti and both head coaches can handle those press conferences themselves. But you don't want all the stuff that's in the paper. That's mostly for the fans and all the people surrounding it. You want to pull your team away from the distractions that they might have. But it is about 10 days. There's a lot of preparation in how they prepare for this game. And I'm going to say this, because Indiana is a team, just play your best and you're going to win this game. You're the best team. You got the best quarterback. Do what you do and you will win this game, and you might win it big. Miami's got to go out and do something different. I think what's got to happen, Miami has got to study their tendencies and break some tendencies. We see what happens against Indiana when you do what you normally do. They intercept the first play, go for a touchdown. They will have studied you and studied you. Very important, but Miami being the underdog, take the 11 days, know what your tendencies are, and break a key tendency here or there to maybe get you a big play.
Football gods are interesting here, Coach, because I don't think a lot of people understand or realize that Corey Heatherman, the current DC for Miami, who has changed this culture here on the defensive side, he was Cignetti's DC at JMU and was extreme, and Cignetti loved him. They still have the same OC that was at JMU is with Indiana and Cignetti. Does that give Heatherman and the defense any sort of insight or a leg up here heading into this game?
I think that swings both ways. I think that they know him, he knows them, and I think that's going to play against each other. And I think that's where tendencies come in. If anybody, there's a book on everybody. There's a book on the defensive play caller. There's a book on the offensive play caller. And the key is to know what they tend to do and to make sure you can offset that by doing something different. I'm reminded, if you ever saw the movie Patton, I think the best scouting report was when he was fighting against Rommel in North Africa, and he won the battle, killed all the tanks, and his quote was, Rommel, you magnificent bastard, I read your book. The key is if you're Miami, you better read the book, which means study their tendencies. Make sure that you know your own tendencies, because when you're the underdog, you've got to break tendencies a little bit. And those coordinators that know each other so well, that's going to be a big factor.
Coach, when you have an elite defensive line like Miami does, with Mesidor on one side and Bain on the other, let's talk to it from an offensive coordinator perspective. Do you operate differently, or do you say, no, we're going to play to our strengths, or is it extra chip blocks? How do you handle those defensive ends?
Well, you mentioned chip blocks at the end. When you get to the point where they're dangerous, they cause problems, you've got to either throw quick passes, get the ball out of your hands, or double team, chip a back on that case. That's why I've said that, one, Miami's got to stop the running game and then put a blitz and put pressure on that quarterback like he's not seen all year. And that will change the way they play their football. It'll get Indiana out of their comfort zone because, one, they want to run the ball so they can throw little less and throw for touchdown passes. But I think the key, Miami get pressure on Indiana's quarterback like he has not seen all year, and they have the talent with their two defensive ends to do that.
Coach, we're going to put up a quick picture of some food. We all love game time food snack. Which one would you go with, the Angus beef shank or the Cuban croqueta pizza, which will be served for the College Football National Championship game? Look at that. Pizza or the steak, Coach?
Hey, I'm on my New Year's protein diet, keto diet. Give me the steak any day. Gotta have the red meat.
Coach, next one is Coach. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Does this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, those predictive markets, they are a lot of fun, and we do like to spend some time on the early line each and every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and tell you about some of those markets and the ways that you can invest your money to hopefully getting it out and get paid, as we like to say, Joe. The Cleveland football team, known as the Browns, Jimmy Haslam is their owner. They're trying to figure out who their next head coach is going to be. Certainly isn't Kevin Stefanski. They let him go. So who do they go to next? What if I would have told you it was another ski? Grant Udinski is the favorite at 38%. Offensive-minded guy, offensive coordinator, just had one in Kevin Stefanski. Joe, he's the leader in the clubhouse. Right behind him, Mike McDaniel, Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur, and Jim Schwartz, a defensive coordinator here. I got some thoughts on this, but do you think Grant Udinski should be the favorite in the clubhouse for the Cleveland Browns?
The question is whether if you're going to go defense, then you're keeping Schwartz, period.
Correct.
I mean, you got the best defensive player in the league, and, he just set the record for sacks. So I think Schwartz, if that's the direction you're going, is perfect. But if you're going to go offense, you're going to be hard. McDaniel's not going to take a job in Cleveland with no quarterback and no situation. The work, you got a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the ball there. Maybe a guy like him is exactly what it's going to take to kind of weather the storm, because until you can get rid of Deshaun Watson's disgusting contract, you're going to be hard pressed to get yourself a quarterback in that on that team. So I don't mind it. I think he should be the favorite to get it.
I got two looks in this race, Joe. Udinski, number one, because he's the favorite. Sometimes I like to say where there's smoke, there's fire. They're going to make a decision sooner than later. I don't think it'll be McDaniel because he's already been a head coach, because I do still think they want to keep Jim Schwartz. So I would take Schwartz at a yes number of 12 cents and also Udinski at 38 cents, because I do think if Udinski is the head coach, you also like a guy like Jim Schwartz who's been a head coach before that could sort of give him pointers but not have to worry about the offense. Let me handle the defense. Or you could just see them naming Jim Schwartz that head coach because the defense is where they lean on, and then sign an up-and-coming coordinator. The thing I don't think is going to happen is Jim Schwartz stays if Mike McDaniel, or let's just say, is the head coach, because that guy's already been a head coach, and you're not going to have Jim Schwartz have a ton of input on the overall branding of the team. So for me, Joe, give me Udinski and give me Schwartz. How about that?
I agree with you. I think guys that have a history, guys that are familiar, it's a great defensive job, right? DC, but the owner already, Haslam's they love Jim Schwartz. They don't want him going anywhere. And that's why he wasn't let go when they were cleaning house with Stefanski. So yeah, I believe that one of those two guys has the inside track for sure.
Let's get over to the NBA. Hot topic this year, the Boston Celtics. We didn't actually know what we would get out of the Celtics this season, but it looks like they're a pretty good basketball team without one of the best basketball players in the NBA. It's Jason Tatum. How about this question on Polymarket? Will Tatum play a game this season? The chance level at 90% right now. Now, other guys that have hurt their Achilles basically signed off on the season on bad basketball teams. Let's just call it the Pacers. But if you play in the NBA and you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, you're playing into June. I actually believe there's a legitimate chance. Now, we're not asking Tatum to be the all-pro NBA, first-team ballot guy, but just to maybe be available, I might take a flyer on the yes here, Joe, with a little investment.
It's tough for me, Donnie, because if I'm the Boston Celtics, what you running the table? You beating OKC? Stop it. I would much rather not risk bringing him back early and just wait and make sure that he's 100% for next season, because I don't believe this team is competing for any sort of championship this year. So it would be a nice story, but I don't think the risk is worth it at this point.
And also ramping up. We're not even saying like he makes it to the finish line in May or June. Like you could ramp up and work out really hard in March and have a setback because you're trying to push an extra month or two back where you probably should be resting. Something to keep an eye out for. But the Boston Celtics, man, having a good season despite losing a lot of players and a lot of injury time. They're still hanging on. How about another Poly Market index here? Which teams will be a number one seed in March Madness? The volume trading rate now on Poly Market on this topic, Joe, $136 total.
Yeah, this is which will be a number one seed or there is no there's going to be 4 number one seeds, right?
Yes, correct.
Is that what we're I mean, my goodness. Yeah, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Arizona is going to be one. Duke is going to be one. Just put Arizona and Duke. They're going to be there. BYU is likely another one.
Yep, there you go, Joe. Number one seeds here with $136 invested in the marketplace. Arizona's got no money on it, Joe. You know who the leader is right now? It is Michigan with $55 right now, Joe. Congratulations. Was that you down in South Florida invested in Michigan? Huh, we'll be right back.
Shocker.
The outline for Koepka are fantastic. I think it's perfect. It is punitive, but it's fair. You've got to levy some sort of fine, so to speak, for defecting, and I think they've done a wonderful job of being equitable and punishing him a bit at the same time. I think Brooks ultimately wants to be playing with the best.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
An NBA segment on a Football Friday. Who says no? We got a lot of hot topics to get to, and I like topics more than the games themselves sometimes in the NBA. Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. Do you ever hear that song, Joe? Coming back from the day and saying, you know what? Good little tune there, little 50 Cent action, little game action here. Well, LeBron James on Instagram, which I don't spend too much time on here, his quote, "No matter if you love or hate me, you will remember me." My answer to you, or question I should say to you, Joe, is why? What are you talking about, LeBron?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess he's got a point, but you got to put some time restraints on that, right? Because I'm fairly certain there's an entire generation has no idea who Oscar Robertson is. So, LeBron, as good as you may, as good as you are and as popular as you've been, we're going to get to a point where people are going to be like, LeBron who? Like what?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He's
Happens to everybody.
MVP. That's it. That's LeBron James there. No matter if you love or hate me, you will remember me. We don't need those quotes here. And what's the quote? Is there any underlying meaning to this quote here? Like, and by the way, who really hates LeBron James, though? Like, I mean, you can dislike athletes and cheer against them, but are people like, man, I hate LeBron James? Like, I mean, I said I hated Michael Jordan because I was a Sixers fan, but nobody really hates LeBron James or Michael Jordan, do they?
I just want one of his patches, Donnie. That's all. I'll hate him if I don't get one of his patches. Yeah, I want one of those. That's all.
You ready for a pretty good statistic, Joe? You're a stats guy. You like good stats here. Did you know Bronny and LeBron hold the record for the most scored all time by a father-son duo here? Does that surprise you at this point? And by the way, 42,751. How many points is that from Bronny at that point? How many is it? Do we know? Let me scroll down here.
4, I think. I think
is
he
it
had
really?
4
is that
points. Yeah, and one guy. No, I have no idea, Donnie, but I can promise you 80% of those points came from LeBron and not Bronny. Is Bronny even still in a league? I don't even, is he there? Or is he just driving his father to the stadium? How's that work out?
Like, you have to rely on, like, your dad sometimes. Hey, don't get me wrong. Like, hey, dad works high up in a company. Just graduated college. Dad got me a job there. Dad retires, but I'm still pretty good in the workforce here at this company, and they value my employment. Like, it's very rare, like, dad has a job, dad leaves. They're like, okay, Tommy boy's out the door now at this point. Like, he just can't make it. Like, honestly, LeBron James retires. How fast does Bronny just get lopped off into a sunset somewhere and say, enjoy the G League or over there in Germany or something?
He would not be on an NBA roster outside of the Lakers because his old man is on. It wouldn't even be close. See, we don't have this kind of nepotism in baseball, Donnie, because, when you get, I don't know, Ken Griffey, senior, and then Ken Griffey Jr., well, Jr. hits 600, 700 homer. You know what I mean? It's like there's a reason why we have not seen this in the NBA over the years. It's not something, and quite honestly, they won't be setting any more records outside of that ridiculous one in which who else is competing with that record, Donnie? Exactly.
Bronny James and the boys. By the way, in the NFL, and we're going to certainly tie this into the NBA, Joe, the things I get upset with is, like, take care of your fans that have actually paved the way for your franchises and made you a lot of money, which means cater to your home audience. Well, in the NFL, they like to say, well, yeah, we'll cater to our audience in Europe and we'll play multiple games. They start at 9:30 East Coast time, 6:30, but it's good for business. And as long as we have business flowing in and more money, that makes the most sense. How about the NBA? 4 EuroLeague teams that could join NBA Europe are revealed. Barcelona, Fenerbahce, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Real Madrid, and Asvel. So they're letting you know sooner than later, we will have a globalized NBA. So congratulations. How about this back-to-back? Hey, you played in Europe, and then you had to go play in New York City the very next night. Fantastic.
Yeah, you gotta love it, Donnie. It's kind of just nauseating on so many different levels here. It really is. But we talk about this all the time, right, Donnie? It's just we scratch our head all the time and nothing changes. And I don't think it ever will, to be honest.
No, it's all about the almighty dollar. It used to be in the NFL, like the bad football teams like the Jaguars would volunteer because we sell 30,000 tickets at home. If I go there at 75,000, we're never going to win anything. So forget about my competitive advantage. When you start seeing teams like the Philadelphia Eagles hosting games in Brazil as opposed to their own home field advantage, that's when the almighty dollar absolutely won out at this point. And that's just the way it is. Let's get over to the games that are live tonight in the NBA, Joe. One of those games in the city of brotherly love. Cavaliers and the Sixers. Sixers are a 2.5-point favorite. We just watched the Cavaliers smoke the Philadelphia 76ers, 36 hours or so ago? They're going to play again in Philadelphia, and the Sixers are the favorite, Joe. But again, who's playing, who's not playing, that's probably going to determine who wins and covers this game.
Well, I mean, we are seeing some early Sixer money come in here today. This overnight was 1.5. And now we're up to 2.5 here for Philadelphia. So they, the good news is they don't have to wait long to get a little revenge here on the Cavs. But don't forget, Donnie, we talked about that in the spread lines a couple of days ago, where the overnight line for the first game between Cleveland and Philly was 3.5 for Philadelphia. And by the time we woke up in the morning game day, it was down to 1.5. And that's kind of where it went off. I mean, it was almost a pick 'em at tip. So there was a ton of Cavs overnight money. Now we're starting to see the reverse. Now we're starting to see the Sixer overnight money. Tough to beat a team twice in 3 days on their own home court.
By the way, like the city of brotherly love moniker, I don't know when that even came to play because Philadelphians hate Philadelphians. We hate everybody else who comes into the town. We hate our own sports teams. You're not allowed to hate them. We can hate on them at that point. So the brotherly love couldn't go worse for naming a city, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, ridiculousness. But I guess we embrace that at this point here. Minnesota Timberwolves, Houston Rockets tonight. Kevin Durant at home. That line overnight, Joe, was a 5. Now we're seeing 3.5s in the marketplace of some outlets in a total of 222.5. T-Wolves in town to take on the Rockets in H-Town.
Yeah, well, the question is, I mean, the Rockets have kind of been going through it here, right? We talked about this yesterday, Donnie. We weren't sure exactly. We knew it was a big game for them. We knew that this could very well be a look into the future with Houston and OKC, but it didn't work out all that well for the Rockets. They didn't even score 100 points. They lost 111-91 last night. Now they welcome in another tough out here for this game. So I got my doubts. Can they bounce back on the second of a back-to-back? As long as Anthony Edwards and Gobert are back, my money would be on Minnesota here.
Toronto is going to take on the Clippers. This game is in Toronto. You know the Clippers have Kawhi Leonard. Let me ask you this question because I don't really watch too many Raptors-Clippers games. But when Kawhi Leonard comes home and plays at Toronto, does he get cheered or does he get booed? You ever watched that or heard about it?
Yeah, no, he's been back a bunch of times, I believe, since he actually won the championship in 2019 for him. Yeah, the problem was, Donnie, the first couple of times he came back, he wasn't playing because he was in street clothes because he was hurt. So, but this is a very different Clippers team and a much healthier Kawhi, I think, than he's ever been going back to Toronto. So, yeah, they still like him in Toronto. They're never going to begrudge him for bringing them their only championship here. But stepping in front of this Clippers team right now with a healthy Kawhi is not advisable.
Yeah, like Kyle Lowry and the Sixers went back in their last game, and they basically put in Kyle Lowry for the final 30 seconds and was basically a hero's homecoming, even though it's been years and since Toronto has won anything. But also, like Kawhi Leonard, what an odd situation and story that was. Like he goes there for 1 year, wins a championship. They never had one. He is the king of Canada and basically wouldn't even answer their phone calls on whether or not he'd like to come back and just took the money for the Clippers and went on. It's amazing that happens. But, Joe, Clippers are a favorite of 2 to 2.5, depending where you're shopping at, and a total low of 215.5. How do you deal with this game tonight in Toronto?
Yeah, I'm not getting in front of the Clippers. I mean, listen, the Raptors have been undermanned a lot. They've dealt with some injuries. Quigley has been hurt. RJ Barrett hurt. Jakob, he's been hurt. Jacoby Walter, not good for the health of Toronto.
Oh, let's get back to the NFL next.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
On the seventh day, God created football, meant to be played on Sundays. We got 2 games to be played on Sunday, one at 3 p.m. Eastern, one at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Joe, let's take a look at the first one. It's the Houston Texans, a dome team on the road to take on the New England Patriots. C.J. Stroud, Drake May lace them up, 2 of the better young quarterbacks in the sport. A favorite for the New England Patriots at a -3, Joe, and a total of 40.5. But big news coming out from each side here. Your best wide receiver for the Texans, Nico Collins, he's probably not going. Your best cornerback for the New England Patriots, who also has a concussion, looks like he's going, Joe. That's big news in this football game.
Yeah, it is big news here because, we've said it and it's been documented. If you look at the difference between this Houston offense with Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud on the field at the same time versus without him, they're not as dangerous, and they certainly, can't stretch the field for defenses to be a little bit more worried. And now you throw in the fact that you're going to have your number 1 defensive back there and not the number 1 receiver. Nico Collins has been that security blanket for a while now for C.J. Stroud. Without him, this team is about 1.5 to 2 points worse, Donnie, with no Nico Collins. And that's not a great situation for him. All of this is leading to a lot of unders and a lot of under opportunities, I think, in this game, both in the prop market and certainly early in this game, maybe an under altogether, first quarter, first half.
Joe, let's hear from Drake May on playoff experience here.
Yeah, we're just talking about, there's 24 teams at home right now. There's 8 of us, practicing and still working. And it's, he mentioned us today before practice, take a look, raise your hand who was still practicing this time last year. And I think, Milton was the only one. So it was pretty just eye-opening to see, there's eight teams left, and it's a chance and opportunity that we have to, play a home football game and home playoff game that matters at at times when it matters most. So just kind of reflect on that and realize kind of opportunity we have, and at the same time, how much work we've done to get here and enjoy it. And at the same time, he just reminded us to take advantage of it and know that we got a chance.
Drake May could pass for a 15-year-old looking at him right there, man. These young kids today, man, balling out early, Joe.
Yep, that they are. And listen, it could not have gone better for him this year. Just another shining example of how coaching matters in the NFL, especially for young quarterbacks.
You know what I love, Joe? Touchdown markets here where everything is plus money. Look at the leader of the clubhouse, Woody Marks, running back for the Houston Texans, plus 150 price. That's the cheapest price on the board. Look at the rest of these guys. Ramondre, 175. Hunter Henry, 195. Travion Henderson, 195. You got dollar bills out there, Joe. We'll get your touchdown attention here.
Yeah, well, I think the tight ends are going to be interesting in this game. I think Dalton Schultz now with no Nico Collins going to be very active in this game. It's the one spot of this very underrated, by the way, New England defense who got, Milton back in the middle. They got their linebackers all back. This is, Spillane there, Milton Williams back. This is a very underrated New England defense. But the one thing they don't do well is cover tight end. So I think he's poised to have a pretty big game. And Hunter Henry, he's going to be the security blanket in the red zone. But keep in mind, Donnie, neither of these two teams offensively are great in the red zone.
How about this next game, Joe? From the windy city of Chicago, the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Chicago Bears, a 3.5-point favorite, not for the higher-seeded team here, Chicago Bears. The lower-seeded team, Rams, they are the favorites at -3.5 and a total of 48.5. Latest weather predictions here, Joe. 20-degree temperatures, no precipitation in the forecast, and manageable winds here under 15 miles per hour. The Rams played last week, got a victory. Chicago played last week, got a victory here. I'm excited to see how this plays out. The Cardiac Bears, do they stand a chance to win outright in this game, Joe?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because the Bears signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, right, to play nickel now in their secondary, which cracks me up because they're still awful. But I'll tell you this: normally, when you get a team in the postseason, Donnie, that erases an 18-point halftime deficit against a division rival, the next game has been money for a letdown spot with that team. In fact, in the playoffs, I think teams in that situation who have had to come back from double-digit deficits against division rivals in the postseason, yeah, that next game, 1-14 against the number. The problem is they are playing in 2 degrees with the wind chill. And the Rams are not like the Vikings dome team. The Vikings, yes, they're a dome team, but they have to play a lot of games outdoors. They're used to it. Yeah. The Rams, you're thinking the Rams in 2 degrees, it makes it very difficult to give an edge one way or the other. We know the offense for Stafford and company are better, but can they execute in 2 degrees and 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts? That's what we're going to find out here.
Yeah, by the way, Matthew Stafford, no cheap prices on his player prop for passing, Joe. No. 267.5, and also maybe some questions, because the one thing we do know, if you play a game in Miami in 75-degree temperatures, your hamstring's a little bit creaky there, you're able to work that out here. Or just getting loose is a little bit easier. Freezing cold temperatures, your finger doesn't feel that good on your throwing hand, maybe that comes into play at this point. But also, Joe, touchdown props for the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. The 3 favorites on the board, all Rams players, Joe. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and Kyren Williams. Of those 3, Kyren Williams, as you see on the graphic, the only plus money number. Puka and Devontae, minus money. The Bears, it's open season, man. Plus money across the board.
Yeah, I mean, listen, death taxes and Puka Nacua is scoring a touchdown, Donnie. If it ain't broke, let's not fix it. We told you that defense of Chicago gave up 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers of Green Bay last week. I think the receivers have a good shot of the Rams of finding pay dirt here.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one, too. You take a look again at that total in this football game that sits around 48.5. Points are expected here in the Cardiac Bears. The one thing you can't do, Joe, and I guess maybe you can with the Bears, losing every single game until midway through the fourth quarter. We always say, sooner than later, that's going to bite you. It hasn't bitten them yet. I mean, heck, they were in their own building down 3 scores last week and still came back. Double digits with 6 minutes to go and still came back. But also understand this. You need teams to collapse in order to do that. I don't know if the Rams are going to collapse in this game, but a good football weekend up and one more segment to go on a Friday edition of the Early Line right here on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be back.
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Kwan Lacey broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The last segment of a powerful week this week on the early line, on the Sports Grid Network. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we brought you everything you needed to know to set you up for this football weekend. And that's still going to continue over this final segment. Donnie writes at and Joe Ranieri. Yesterday in Philadelphia, you know my team's the Eagles. Big doings this offseason. Who's going to be that offensive coordinator to take the Eagles back to the promised land? Well, it was Howie Roseman talking about A.J. Brown, if he's going to be back going to the promised land.
We talked about this, I think, at the trade deadline last time I talked. It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and AJ is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's what we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So I think that would be my answer.
I don't think A.J. Brown's going anywhere, Joe, because understand this. You can't just trade guys in this day and age with those contracts and say nothing's going to happen. So answer me this. Would you rather A.J. Brown helping your football team or not playing there and still counting like $30 million against the salary cap? Sometimes dollars make more than cents, Joe, if that makes sense to you.
It does. And listen, it's all about talent, too, as well. As long as him and Jalen Hurts are on the same page, and they can get this higher square, I think everything will work out there. I mean, he's not the first disgruntled, superstar wide receiver that doesn't get. I think cooler heads will prevail here, but you got to nail this, Donnie. And they've done a pretty good job alternating years, finding the right coordinator here. So I think they'll be okay here.
They should be okay. And now's the time of the program. Late in the week, we want to hear from the public. Here's our Fade the Public poll. It's simple. Follow us on X at SportsGrid here. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We ask you a question we want to hear the feedback on. This question seems pretty cut and dry, and it deals with what happened last night, late night. Will the Dodgers win the World Series this year? They signed Kyle Tucker to $60 million a year, already on top of their massive payroll. So, yes, no question that they will win the World Series, or no comes in there, Joe. I voted yes, no question, because they have the best roster in baseball. They won it last year. Why not this year, Joe? How are you feeling about this question?
Donnie, listen, when we talked about, all right, who will Kyle Tucker's next team be? And I'm sitting here saying, do not bet against the Dodgers. They will, lift up the couch cushions and rip out money. And that's exactly what they did. And now with a $413 million estimated payroll this year, Donnie, I'm thinking, I wouldn't bet against them. Once again, I would not bet against them.
The Los Angeles Dodgers, the all-star team we've all wanted here, except if you're a fan of another team trying to win a championship, probably not going to happen. But yesterday, Joe, I was robbed in the NBA of a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. I won't let that happen again tonight. Here's bye. College and the pros, the floor is yours, Joe. Where do we go tonight to find some more money?
Well, the marquee matchup, right? You've got a Big 12 battle between Kansas and Baylor. Now, we did cash with Kansas earlier in this week as they demolished Iowa State at Fog Allen, but they were an underdog in that spot. Here, they're not. They are laying 7.5 points, and Baylor just beat my Oklahoma State Cowboys in Stillwater for a much-needed win as they sit there on the season 11-5. But I'm sorry. I think what we saw from Kansas with the upcoming #1 NBA draft pick in Peterson, I think Kansas at home, I think they turned a quarter. This is the kind of game here where Bill Self and Kansas separate themselves from the rest. Baylor has been too up and down offensively. They don't play enough defense. I think Kansas runs away with this game, so I would lay it. I've got them winning by double digits.
Kansas by double digits sounds good to me. For me, we're going to go to Bedford-Stuyvesant, the Livest one. Where's that? Yeah, that's Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? It's happening tonight. They're going to take on the Chicago Bulls. The Nets are the home team here. Overnight line open up at -1, sits -2, and even some 2.5s in the marketplace, despite getting under 40% of the tickets. I don't want to see Brooklyn enter into the fourth quarter with a double-digit lead like I saw the Miami Heat last night, only to see them give away that lead as underdogs and lose the game outright. Come on, Nets. Win it outright tonight by more than 2 points. I know that you can do it. A 2-0 night on a football Friday, which sends you into your Saturday, into your Sunday, and back into a Monday national championship picture, Joe. Seems like we have the perfect weekend worked out this weekend.
We do, Donnie, and I, for one, am all for it. I think Nets get it done. I think Cairns gets it done. I think we'll be back on Monday getting ready for Miami to get it done. Ooh, did I say that out loud? I think I did.
Oh, yes, you did. You're bright and early on a Monday.